I was working for name dropping. I was working for Diana Ross. She had a full Diana Ross.
This is Dan O'Rourke.
Diana Ross. She's a drag act from Troon. No, Diana Ross, the Diana Ross, and she had a full orchestra, and she had this harpist, and that looks like the harp when it had its cover on, it had a kind of zip cover, and she was on me all the time. Don't do this, don't do that, be careful with it. I think it was worth a lot of money, but anyway, one day we took the cover off the harp and we left the harp backstage, and we took the cover on stage, and I stood like that inside. I stood like that inside the cover, and just as she walked into the hall and arrived, I went. But it was exactly that shape, and that's about the size of a harp. Anyway, I think this is the rain coming in.
I'm just a stone's throw from nowhere. Stone's throw from nowhere.
I was born and brought up in Dunoon, and I didn't realise it was such a kind of pivotal place in the universe, just the nature and the scenery and the seascapes. I mean, I've toured the world, I've been over the Rockies, I've been to the Andes. I hope I'm not sounding like Johnny Big Boots here, but you know, I've been to these fantastic places. And there's nothing compares to the scenery around here, Inverary, Dunoon. It's got an ancient feeling about it. If I'm down, I just get in the car and come for a drive around here, and it kind of picks me up. I've got a lot of fond memories as well of climbing the hills and stuff like that when I was younger. It's really, really, really special. In my early 20s, I got a phone call from a bloke who said he was Benny Anderson in ABBA and offered me a job, and I thought, oh, this has got to be a wind-up. But the truth of the matter was that somebody that knew me had gone to work for ABBA and was over in Stockholm with them, and had recommended me to do their world tour, to look after their organ and their piano and all the synthesizers. That's what I was doing. I was playing in bands, and I was really good in synthesizers at the time, and I knew how to fix them as well. So off I went out to Stockholm, and I got 2 years work with them, and they took me around the world. I went from small town boy in the west of Scotland to supreme roadie, traipsing around the world with ABBA. My family come from a glen called Glendaruel. When I was a boy, we used to go there as a family to my great aunt's house, and she had lived in the glen since the 1860s. And it was lovely. It was like a step back in time even then. And she lived in a little cottage without electricity, without gas. I feel really privileged that I saw that. I had a finger on something just before it disappeared and left, kind of forever. I fell in love with that glen, and I go there when I feel lonely or sad. Sometimes I find my mother and father, they're long dead, but they kind of pop up into my life, and I find them down there, and I'm able to talk to them down there. So I went down, and to my horror, one of the standing stones that my father used to point out to us as we drove up through the glen wasn't there anymore. And when I walked over, I discovered that the The river had meandered over the centuries, had meandered over, and the stone had fallen into the river, but it was nowhere to be seen. I couldn't see it. It's a really deep pool. Apparently it had got right to the edge of the river, and there's a 30-foot fall into the river, and it had tumbled one night and it was gone. 4,000 or 5,000 years that stone has stood in that glen, in that landscape, a thing of power. I just want the stone to go back up so it can spend the next 4,000 years looking down the glen. Yeah.
No, I'm right into seeds. I've started grinding up seeds.
Yeah. Have you got a pestle?
No, I just use a coffee grinder. Like the avocado seed. It's full of fucking goodness.
And yet we throw it away.
Dry it out 3 days, peel it, chop it up, grind it, put it in a smoothie. It's full of fucking all sorts of good stuff.
Oh wow. I was talking to somebody yesterday. We might meet him today. He's got a standing stone in his front garden of the same era and of the same size. I want to show you just so that you can see what you think it weighs and stuff. When I was a wee boy living in Dunoon, probably 5, 6, I don't know, in around that age, I used to get the deck chair out and put it out in the garden at night and just lie there and look at the stars. And there was no, the skies were really dark then. It wasn't long after the war. And usually you'd have the Cloch lighthouse, the foghorn going, really eerie. It was lovely. You just look at it and anything was possible at that age, you know, because you believed anything you were told. Isn't that, in a way, I don't know if it gets beaten out of us, rationalised out of us, intellectualised out of us, or we just have to grow up, or we just change, our brain chemistry changes. But I really would love to have that childish ability to believe. It's in the looking maybe rather than the finding. So maybe that's the truth of me with the stone, you know? It's not ego, it's not Stuart McKillop saves the day. But I actually do feel I could pick up a pen and write the authorities and say, a standing stone has fallen into the river, what are you going to do about it? And rant and rave and make it political and make it anger. It doesn't have to be that. It's not the authority standing stone. It's not the archaeological community standing stone. It's Glendarule's fucking standing stone. Well, you know, I had a rant the other day that the powers that be let it fall in. They were told about it. And they were showing how critical the thing was, and they did nothing.
It's a farmer's land, isn't it? Then.
Yeah, it's just keeping him on board. As long as I was going to give him a bottle of whiskey. Well, he says as long as it doesn't cost him, and as long as we don't try and put it up in the middle of his field, you know, where he's trying to put his plant through, he doesn't mind. I said, well, you tell me where you want it. I used to look back in my life and think, what a waste. I haven't had a family, I haven't done this. And I'm only now beginning to realise the kind of rich colour and the kind of interesting life I've kind of had, and I've been quite spoiled. Yeah, I was on tour. I got a job. It wasn't all kind of high class American acts. I got a job with the Stranglers, which was a punk band. They're very, very good, they were. And they took me to America, and we went round America about 3 times, and I had to drive the truck. And it was brilliant. It was just, I saw America. This was back in the late 80s. I saw America really back in that time, and I've got fond memories of it. But we were travelling around, and we were driving across the Great Plains, going back to Toronto after some gigs in the West Coast, and we looked up and we saw, what's that there? And it was the Aurora Borealis. So we stopped and we got out and needed the toilet. And I said, well, we've got no toilet paper. And my mate says, well, get the map and tear out Texas and we'll use that to wipe our arses on. And so we wiped our arses in Texas, but unfortunately what we didn't realise was Virginia, where we were going, was on the other side of Texas. So it was left at the side of the road in the Great Plains. This is very much like the stone we're trying to get out the river. I don't think it's quite as thing, but it's flat like this. This kind of contorted, it's obviously been some kind of sedimentary rock. I think they're called metamorphic when they've been heated up afterwards and changed. Metamorphosis. Do you like Brian Cox? Do you ever watch his stuff?
No, I don't like him at all.
He's too poncy or too...
He's just too opinionated for me. I hate these guys when they get involved in politics and all that.
Oh, does he?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, I didn't realise that. I
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
he was...
yeah.
Oh, he's a fucking idiot then. Stood here like this. I'm the standing stone. I don't think it was much bigger than me. I think it's just slid down. And it's down in that gravel or in the river somewhere. But you can't see into the river, it's just that dark red. I just think the shape of that bulge down there with the plant on it, I don't know why I think. If it slid down, it would just go exactly where that is. Oh. Yeah, now you're talking. Tutankhamun. Is that a rock? No. There's a bit of me in that glen, you see, from the 50s. I left some of me behind. I realised that I'm not standing stone, but it's so strong. And I'm looking for myself, I think, and when I'm looking for the stone, I'm looking for myself.
So we're going to seek it out now.
We're Raiders of the Lost Ark. You even look like Indiana Jones with that hat on.
I like this hat. I love hats.
Don't be embarrassed to be your hat now.
No, I'm not embarrassed. It costs me a lot of money. I buy hats all over the place.
You won't?
I'm a hat man. I love
Would you
hats.
go in after it if I threw it in?
Oh no, you're going after it. No, I like my hats.
You came here when you were young, didn't you?
No, I only came here. First time I came here was 15 years ago. I was in a black depression.
And you come here?
And I decided to come and visit this part. And the more I settled in, the worse it became. The whole past came up and my whole childhood came up. And I thought there's a whole power in there that triggers something in me. It's not out here,
No,
it's in here.
It's in here.
But it triggered something in me. And so when I'm kind of looking for, I suppose, a psychic change or something,
Yes.
I come to places like this. Some people go to church.
If you look around, you're right, the beauty, this has to be engineered, you know. There has to be a big engineer, you know.
A
This-
plan.
People say about the Big Bang, but I don't believe in the Big Bang, you know. That's so random, isn't it? How could, you know. But you look at the complexity of a flower or your fingernail, and that has to be engineered. You can hardly read them, it's all. But for 1938, 75 years old, that was quite good.
Come and see my Auntie Jessie. She won't bother you.
Oh, I'm not prepared for it. We'll
Well,
see your auntie.
you know, you might just be more tuned in.
I don't like
On
coffins.
days like this, I don't feel it, but there are days I come here.
Why don't we, when we just die, we just disappear? Just die, disappear. Don't bother with this here. That's not, oh.
You don't like graveyards?
Just don't like death.
The thing is, the stones are put up to date, aren't you?
See, I don't believe I'm going to die. I really don't. I've always had that feeling.
What's going to happen to you?
I don't know, might not.
It's going to rot in your boots.
I'll just disappear, just no call for all this old morbidity, a lot of morbid stuff with graveyards and coffins.
Do you not want to do this? We can go
Oh,
somewhere
no,
else.
no, it'll be all right.
All these ones are my family.
Are they?
On that side, yeah.
Oh.
This one and that one, and this one. And she's on a, you can barely read it.
Buchanan, yeah.
Yeah, Buchanan.
Jessie.
Jessie was 93, yeah.
That's a great age,
I
isn't
think this is Colin. If you think that's how much that's worn since the 60s.
it? 60s, yeah. 50, what is it, 59, is that? 53, 59.
And it'll be gone soon. This, whatever this fungus is, it's just eating away at it. I think they're meant to wear away and eventually disappear back into the ground. They're only of a time. Our standing stone, on the other hand, is 5,000 years old. It's done really well. So who knows what it? Maybe when it went up, it was pristine and straight and painted red and had all sorts of writing on it. And you know, I don't know. As all the molecules in her body have gone back to here. So she was from here. She was born
way
here.
back there now.
She ate everything that came from here, and she's gone back here.
Walter Buchanan, aged 12 years. You allowed to do that?
No, but I'm a rock and roller. Yeah, so once I toured the world, I got into the whole swing of it, and it was back in the early 80s, and we were going to South America. I went to Japan, Australia, Tasmania. My God, you know, did everywhere but the North and South Pole, and I don't have to travel now because I did it all back then. But the world of rock and roll kind of caught up with me, like it catches up with everyone else, and I started drinking too much, and it kind of enabled me to be larger than life. Not that I really need it, but it enabled me to be larger than life around the people I was working with, and for a while it gave me confidence, but I got to a point where I was starting to lose jobs.
Well, we were always told, see, walking through a graveyard, that's intruding on them. You know, when you see that, I'm thinking them people are, get out of there, get him out of here now. And I'm thinking they're all going to come up and chase me out. We were brought up like that, never walk through a graveyard. You know?
But, well, that's a kind of respect thing, isn't it?
It's quite scary too. All I'm thinking about is getting out of here.
Come on then, well, we'll run.
We will run. They're getting buried in cardboard boxes and all now. You know, I'd like to be remembered.
Well, you will be. I'll remember you.
You good man. Thank you very much for that.
At the end of my rock and roll touring days as a roadie, before I went back to playing, my last tour actually was Tina Turner, and it was a big tour. She'd just broken with Private Dancer, and it was going to be a small tour I was booked for, but all of a sudden it turned into a major world tour, and off we went. And but I was drinking heavily, and by this time, and I could do the job with my eyes closed, and I did often, but it was catching up on me, to be honest. At the end of the American leg, the manager called me in. He says, "Stuart, you're a lovely guy when you're not drinking, but you know you're drinking too much." And he said, "We're going to let you go." And you know, I was getting all my self-worth from who I was working for. I kind of lost my own self-worth. I think I've kind of lost a lot of my confidence. If I can get over I'm too old to be doing this kind of shit. I used to laugh at my poor grandpa when he just couldn't get up in the garage roof anymore and stuff like that. And now I know what it's all about. Right, going down for the very last time. It's not quite such a kind of homely, kind of warm summer place like it was a few weeks ago or a week ago. Why not here? This is going to be really disappointing if it's not here. The archaeology begins. Everybody moving in expectantly to see a standing stone. Oh, it's glory. God, it's tough old ground. No, I can't see anything, unfortunately. That is one deep pull in there. I think we'll see. My feet are now absolutely drenched, so I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. Okay. I kind of almost can see the bottom, and I definitely don't see. Maybe I'll dig a hole further up. Well, it's still lost. It's I went to Glendaruel last week on my way back from a family meeting, and I couldn't believe the height of the river. It was right up the bank. I mean, it looked like the Colorado. I've seen the Colorado, and it was just coming pouring down round the bend like an express train with swirling whirlpools. Even a stone that size would, maybe if it was like that when it went in, maybe it did go downstream a bit. The day I went down and found it gone, I saw myself as a standing stone, and that nobody had noticed the stone slipping away. Hello, you. Very hard to be sad with you around, isn't it? But there you go. My that's all my kind of highbrow perception. You know, when I take Hamish down to see a standing stone, he just lifts his leg and pees on it, and that's his kind of reality on it. So Maybe he's got the right idea, I don't know. Yeah, I feel I'm lost. It always passes, it always passes. When I was a little boy, I used to come here. There was a raft out there. My biggest desire was to swim out to this raft, but I'd been told by my mother, because she knew I couldn't swim very well, and the currents are quite bad. She said, don't do it. So one day when she wasn't here and it was just me and my sister, I swam out to the raft, and it came time to swim back, and as I swam back, I got more and more tired and I was getting nowhere. The current was pulling me out. I just had this terrible sense of failure and a real sense of hopelessness. I didn't drown. A man came in and lifted me up, pulled me out. I was in Finland on tour last year. This place came back to me and the near drowning, and I felt I couldn't go on. And that's like 60 years ago. When I got back, I got on the boat and I came over and I came down here, and I had this strong sense of the stone in Glendaruel. I got in my car and went up to Glendaruel, walked over to the river, and lo and behold, as clear as anything, there was the stone sitting in the river, because the river was really low and the way the light was hitting it, you could see right into it. My world wasn't going to be right again until I got that stone back in its feet. And that's rubbish. So I'm quite happy that to leave it in the river, in its resting place, its final resting place. It'll be gone in 10 years, under the silt and under the bank. So that's where it's meant to be. It'll just be registered on the Ordnance Survey map as standing stone missing. I really like the simple life I have now of just living in the country and writing my music, and I kind of commune with nature. Recently I was working on my house. There was a robin, it was in the middle of winter, and there was a robin going into my car and eating the crumbs off the floor. It was so cold. And I finished work and I closed up, and it was getting dark, and drove off into town, and sure enough the robin was still in the car. And it popped up, and I thought, I can't let it out here in the middle of Glasgow, it'll get beaten up by all the other robins. So I turned round, I shut the windows, made sure it couldn't get out. And I turned around and I took it all the way back, and I opened the window, and the robin flew out the window, and on the top of my house, its mate was waiting for it.